uh, smart fellers and ladies out there, good morning. Just getting on the road today. About to get my book started. I'll try to finish up Striking Thoughts by Bruce Lee today. And we'll get to see what's cooking with Crisco, baby, yeah, Alright. Again, my name is David Hayes. I am the founder of the Meta Musee. The Meta Musee is an international art collective and art museum representing 100 artists from 27 countries. I'm just on my way to work today, and I'm going to listen to a book. Hope you enjoy. Thank you. Come again.
On personal liberation. Conditioning. The individual and the what should be. Why do you as an individual depend on thousands of years of propaganda, ideals, principles? It's to drop and dissolve inner blockage. A conditioned mind is never a free mind. Wipe away and dissolve all its experience and be born afresh. Keep your mind uncontaminated by past conditioning. The more and more you're aware, the more and more you shed day to day what you have learned, so that your mind is always fresh, uncontaminated by previous conditioning. Remove all psychic obstruction. In order to display its native activities to the utmost limit, remove all psychic obstruction. Drop your inner resistance. Are you a flowing entity, capable to flow with external circumstances? Or are you resisting with your set choice pattern? The truth is outside all of set. Conditioning is to limit a person within the framework of a particular system. All fixed set patterns are incapable of adaptability or pliability. The truth is outside of all fixed patterns. Empty your mind and expand your life. When there is a particle of dust in your eye, the world becomes a narrow path. Have your mind completely free from objects, and how much this life expands. Live every second refreshed. We live in cliches, in patterned behavior. We are playing the same role over and over again. To raise our potential is to live and review every second refreshed. One must die to one's conditioning. One must be uninfluenced and die to one's conditioning in order to be aware of the totally fresh, totally new. Because reality changes every moment, even as I say. Systems. To formalize something is to make progress impossible. Formality could be a hindrance to progress. This is applicable to everything, including philosophy. The founder of any branch must be more ingenious than the common man. However, if his achievement is not carried on by disciples of the same ingenuity, then things will only become formalized and get stuck in a cul-de-sac, whereby breakthrough and progress will be almost impossible. The formless form. When insubstantiality and substantiality are not set and defined, when there is no track of changing of such, one has mastered the formless form. When there is a clinging to form, when there is attachment of the mind, it is not the true path. When technique comes out of itself, it is the way growing out of no way. It is not simply denial. Do not deny the classical approach as a reaction, for you will have created another pattern in which you will be trapped. In memory of a once fluid man, a tombstone in memory of a man of fluidity, crammed and distorted by organized despair. Unenlightened followers can turn truth into a tomb. The founder of a style or method might have been exposed to some partial truth, but as time passed by, especially after the passing away of its founder, this partial truth became a law, or worse still, a prejudiced faith against the different sects. In order to pass along this knowledge from generation to generation, the various responses had to be organized and classified and presented in a logical order.
Hey, can one of you hit the like button for me? Hope you have a good day. Thank you. Thanks for reading Striking Thoughts by Bruce Lee.
So what might have started off as some sort of personal insight of its founder is now solidified knowledge, a preserved cure-all for mass conditioning. In so doing, the followers have made this knowledge not only a holy shrine, but a tomb in which the founder's wisdom is buried. Because of the nature of organization and preservation, the means would become so elaborated that tremendous attention must be given to them, and gradually the end is forgotten. The followers will then accept this organized something as the total reality. Of course, many more different approaches would spring up, probably as a direct reaction to the other's truth. Pretty soon, these approaches too will become large organizations, with each claiming to possess truth to the exclusion of all others. The problems of belief. Belief binds. Belief isolates. An established set style, chained down, in bondage, bound. It can never comprehend the new, the fresh, the uncreated. The means destroys the freshness, the newness, the spontaneous discovery. Methods block real feelings. When real feeling occurs, anger, fear, etc., can one express himself with the classic method? Or is he merely listening to his own screams and yells and mechanically performing his routine? Slaves to pattern. Because one does not want to be disturbed, to be made uncertain, he establishes a pattern of conduct, of thought, a pattern of relationship to man, etc. Then he becomes a slave to the pattern and takes the pattern to be the real thing. Methods play obstacles in the way of knowledge. By an error repeated throughout the ages, truth, becoming a law or faith, places obstacles in the way of knowledge. Method, which is in its very substance ignorance, encloses it within a vicious circle. We should break such circles not by seeking knowledge, but by discovering the cause of ignorance. Doctrines prevent us from really seeing. Organical seeing diminishes and evidently is forgotten when we begin to choose sides and set up doctrine. A path and a gateway have no meaning or use once the objective is in sight. The nature of tradition. Tradition equals the habit-forming mechanism of the mind. Tradition enslaves the mind. Classical methods and tradition make the mind a slave. You are no longer an individual, but merely a product. Your mind is the result of 1,000 yesterdays. The individual is more important than the system. The individual is of first importance, not the system. Remember that man created method, and not that method created man. And do not strain yourself in twisting into someone's preconceived pattern, which unquestionably would be appropriate for him, but not necessarily for you. Truth is outside of all fixed patterns. All fixed set patterns are incapable of adaptability or pliability. The truth is outside of all fixed patterns. Freedom of expression occurs when one is beyond system. True observation begins when one is devoid of set patterns. Freedom of expression occurs when one is beyond system. A classified response to one's chosen inclination. On using no way as way. Man is constantly growing, and when he is bound by a set pattern of ideas or way of doing things, that's when he stops growing. The limitation of having a set way of doing things. Use no way as way. When there is a way, therein lies the limitation. And when there is a circumference, it traps. And if it traps, it rots. And if it rots, it is lifeless. Do not restrict yourself to one approach. There are different approaches, you know. But each person must not be limited to one approach. We must approach it with our own self. We are always in a learning process, whereas a style or system is a concluded, established, solidified something. You cannot do that because you learn every day as you grow older. A choice method imprisons the mind. A choice method, however exacting, fixes the mind in a pattern. A choice method is the cultivation of resistance. And where there is resistance, there is no understanding. A well-disciplined mind is not a free mind. Any technique, however worthy and desirable, becomes a disease when the mind is obsessed with it. The creating individual is more important than any system. Man, the living creature, the creating individual, is always more important than any established style or system. Styles conclude, humans continue. We are always in a learning process, whereas a style is a concluded, established, solidified something. You cannot do that because you learn every day as you grow older. The classical man is a slave to the tradition. The classical man is just a bundle of routines, ideas, and expressed tradition. When he acts, he is translating every living moment in terms of the old. Organized institutes produce prisoners of concepts. I no longer am interested in systems or organization. Organized institutes and the instruction are often fixed in a routine. Of course, what is worse is that by imposing the members to fit a lifeless preformation, their natural growth is blocked. Detachment. Float in emptiness without obstruction. The knowledge and skill you have achieved are, after all, meant to be forgotten, so you can float in emptiness without obstruction and comfortably. It is to see things as they are. It is to see things as they are and not to become attached to anything. To be unconscious means to be innocent of the working of a relative empirical mind. When there is no abiding of thought anywhere on anything, this is being unbound. This not abiding anywhere is the root of our life. Remove all psychic hindrances. One can never be the master of his technical knowledge unless all his psychic hindrances are removed and he can keep the mind in the state of emptiness, fluidity, even purge he has obtained with no conscious effort. Emptiness cannot be confined. You cannot hurt that which is formless. The softest thing cannot be snapped, and emptiness cannot be confined. To be detached is to be free of positive and negative. To desire is an attachment. To desire not to desire is also an attachment. To be unattached and negative. In other words, this is to be simultaneously both yes and no, which is intellectually absurd. The art of detachment. Give up thinking as though not giving it up. Observe the techniques as though not observing. Confront the problem to be free of it. Let yourself go with the disease. Be with it. Keep company with it. This is the way to get rid of it. The strength of emptiness. Nothingness cannot be confined. The softest thing cannot be snapped. Holding on prevents growth. Tension from now to then. People try to hold on to the sameness. This holding on to prevents growth. No-mindedness. Wu Sin.
If y'all like this, please hit the like button.
No-mindedness is non-fixation. Wu Sin, or no-mindedness, is not a blank mind which excludes all emotions, nor is it simply callousness and quietness of mind. Although quietude and calmness are necessary, it is the non-graspiness of the mind that mainly constitutes the principle of no-mindedness. The localization of the mind means its freezing. When it ceases to flow freely as it is needed, it is no more the mind in its suchness. A mind that is not fixated non-fixated has no use to flow ceaselessly and ignores our limitations and our distinctions. Do not strive to localize the mind anywhere, but to let it fill up the whole body. Let it flow freely throughout the totality of your being. As Alan Watts puts it, the no-mindedness is a state of wholeness in which the mind functions freely and easily, without the sensation of a second mind or ego standing over it with a club. What he means is to let the mind think what it likes, without interference by the separate thinker or ego within oneself. Wu Sin is the natural process of thought. No effort let go is precisely the disappearance of the separate thinker. There is nothing to try to do, for whatever comes up moment by moment is accepted, including non-acceptance. Wuxin is fulfillment. Non-seeing and no mind are not renunciations, but fulfillment. The seeing that is without subject or object is pure seeing. No-mindedness is unobstructed feeling. No-mindedness is not being without emotion or feeling, but being one in whom feeling is not sticky or blocked. It is a mind immune to emotional influences. Like this river, everything is flowing on ceaselessly without cessation or standing still. No-mindedness is to employ the whole mind as we use the eyes when we rest them upon various objects, but make no special effort to take anything in. The Parable of Kuan Yin.
If you like this video,
Kuan
please like
Yin,
the video.
Avalokitesvara, the goddess of mercy, is sometimes represented with 1,000 arms, each holding a different instrument. If her mind stops with the use, for instance, upon various objects, but make no special effort to take anything in. The Parable of Kuan Yin. Kuan Yin, Avalokitesvara, the goddess of mercy, is sometimes represented with 1,000 arms, each holding a different instrument. If her mind stops with the use, for instance, of a spear, all the other arms, 999, will be of no use whatever. It is only because of her mind not stopping with the use of one arm, but moving from one instrument to another, that all her arms prove useful with the utmost degree of efficiency. Thus, the figure is meant to demonstrate that when the ultimate truth is realized, even as many as 1,000 arms on one body may each be serviceable in one way or another. Wuxin is making oneself empty. I must give up my desire to force, direct, strangle the world outside of me and within me in order to be completely open, responsible, aware, alive. This is often called to make oneself empty, which does not mean something negative, but means the openness to receive. Wuxin is the fluidity of everyday mind. This non-stopping mind is known as fluidity, which is also known as the empty mind or everyday mind. To have something in mind means that it's preoccupied and has no time for anything else. But to attempt to remove the thought already in it is to refill it with another something. So, what to do? Do nothing. Don't solve it. Dissolve it. Not fuss. No fuss. It's the everyday mind. Nothing special at all. Zen Buddhism. Zen has no metaphysics. Zen wishes to escape the pointless endeavor to trap life in a Zen reveals that there is no problem and no solution. Zen reveals that there is a tale in which you can expiate guilt. So instead of telling us what the problem is, Zen insists that the whole trouble is just our failure to realize that there is no problem. And of course, this means that there is no solution either. The parable of a tea serving. A learned man once went to a Zen master to inquire about Zen. As the Zen master talked, the learned man would frequently interrupt him with remarks like, "Oh yes, we have too," etc. Finally, the Zen master stopped talking and began to serve tea to the learned man. However, he kept on pouring until the teacup overflowed. "Enough! No more can go into the cup," the learned man interrupted. "Indeed, I see," answered the Zen master. "But if you do not first empty your cup, then how can
Please
you
hit the
taste
like
my cup of
button if
tea?"
you like the button.
Buddhism is effortless. In Buddhism, there is no place for using effort. Just be ordinary and nothing special. Eat your food, move your bowels, pass water, and when you're tired, go and lie down. The ignorant will laugh at me, but the wise will understand. On Buddhism's Eightfold Path, the 8 requirements that will eliminate suffering by correcting false values and giving true knowledge of life's meaning have been summed up as follows. First, you must see clearly what is wrong. Next, decide to be cured. You must act. Speak so as to aim at being cured. Your livelihood must not conflict with your therapy. The therapy must go forward at the staying speed, the critical velocity that can be sustained. You must think and feel about it incessantly. Learn how to contemplate with a deep mind. Or, right views or understanding, right purpose or aspiration, right speech, right conduct, right means of livelihood or vocation, right effort, right kind of awareness or mind control, right concentration or meditation. Zen has no idols. Zen liberates the mind from servitude to imagine spiritual states as objects, which too easily become hypostasized and turn into idols that obsess and delude the seeker. Transcending karma. The way to transcend karma lies in the proper use of the mind and the will. The Zen of assertion. An assertion is Zen only when it is itself an act and does not refer to anything that is asserted in it. On prajna, wisdom. Prajna is not self-realization, but realization pure and simple, beyond subject and object. On the bodhisattva. Leaving sagehood behind and entering once more into ordinary humanity. After coming to understand the other side, you come back and live on this side. Meditation. Meditation is not introversion. It is not a technique of introversion by which one seeks to exclude matter and the external world, to eliminate distracting thoughts, to sit in silence, emptying the mind of images, and to concentrate on the purity of one's own spiritual essence.
And again, if I may, if y'all could let me know how the audio is, like somebody can just say it's good or this or that, I'd appreciate it just so I can know. Thank you.
Zen is not a mysticism of introvert elimination. Meditation is not introversion. It is not a technique of introversion by which one seeks to exclude matter and the external world, to eliminate distracting thoughts, to sit in silence, emptying the mind of images, and to concentrate on the purity of one's own spiritual essence. Zen is not a mysticism of introversion and withdrawal. It is not acquired contemplation. To think that this insight is a subjective experience attainable by some kind of process of mental purification is to doom oneself to error and absurdity, mirror wiping Zen. Stop inwardly. At this moment, stop inwardly. When you do stop inwardly, psychologically, your mind becomes very peaceful, very clear. Then you can really look at this. Meditation is enlightenment. Do not separate meditation as a means, dhyana, from enlightenment as an end, prajna. The two were really inseparable, and the Zen discipline consisted in seeking to realize this wholeness and unity of prajna and dhyana in all one's acts. Enlightenment is knowledge. There is no difference between such enlightenment and what is ordinarily termed knowledge, for in the latter, a contrast exists between the knower and the known, whereas in the former, there can be no such contrast. Meditation leads to thought that is not of the physical. After the completion of cultivation, of no cultivation, one's thoughts continue to be detached from phenomenal things, and one still remains amid the phenomenal, yet devoid of the phenomenal. Real meditation puts you in the now. Zen is not attained by mirror-wiping meditation, but by self-forgetfulness in the existential present of life here and now. We do not come, we are. Do not strive to become, but be. Meditation is without motive. A simple mind surely is one that functions, that thinks and feels without a motive. Where there is a will, there must be a way, etc. Meditation is a freeing of the mind from all motives. Meditation is without mental effort. Any effort the mind makes will further limit the mind, because effort implies the struggle towards a goal. And when you have a goal, a purpose, an end in view, you have placed a limit on the mind. And it is with such a mind that you are. Is not concentration, never be a process of concentration, because the highest form of thinking is negative thinking. Negation is not the opposite of positive, but a state in which there is neither the positive nor its real as the negative. It is a state of complete emptiness. Meditation means to be internally unperturbed. To meditate means to realize the imperturbability of one's original nature. Meditation means to be free from all phenomena, and calmness means to be internally unperturbed. There will be calmness when one on being centered.
How's the audio, everybody?
We are vortices.
Can you hear it all right?
Whose center is a point that is motionless and eternal, but which appears in manifestation as motion, which increases in velocity in the manner of a whirlpool or tornado, whose epicenter is still from nucleus to periphery. The nucleus is in reality, whereas the vortex is phenomenon in the form of a multi-dimensional force field. Hold to the core, The immovable. The immovable. It is the concentration of energy at a given focus, as at the axis of a wheel, instead of dispersal in scattered activities. Stillness in motion. I'm moving and not moving at all. I'm like the moon underneath the waves that ever go on rolling and rocking. Freedom. Where method is, freedom is not. The more complicated and restricted the method, the lesser the opportunity for the expression of one's original sense of freedom. Freedom cannot be preconceived. Freedom is something that cannot be preconceived. To realize freedom requires an alert mind, a mind that is deep with energy, a mind that is capable. Freedom is not. The more complicated and restricted the method, the lesser the opportunity for the expression of one's original sense of freedom. Freedom cannot be preconceived. Freedom is something that cannot be preconceived. To realize freedom requires an alert mind, a mind that is deep with energy, a mind that is capable of immediate perception without the process of graduation, without the idea of an end to be slowly achieved. Preformations simply lack the flexibility to adapt to the ever-changing. At this point, many would ask, how then do we gain this unlimited freedom? I cannot tell you, because it will then become an approach. Although I can tell you what is not, I cannot tell you what is. That, my friend, you will have to find out all, for there is no help but self-help. On gaining freedom. Who says we have to gain freedom? Freedom has always been with us and is not something to be gained at the end through following some particular formulas. We do not become. We simply are. On being free. Free equals the absence of feeling of external constraint.
Can someone tell me how
Not
the audio
free
is, please?
equals the absence of presence of the feeling of external constraint. Different people feel free in different ways. Therefore, it is in degree. The question should then be, how free are we? On freeing oneself. To free yourself, observe closely what you normally practice. Do not condemn or approve. Merely observe. To express in freedom. To express yourself in freedom, you must die to everything of it. If you follow the classical pattern, the routines, the traditions, you are not understanding yourself.
Thank you, Vaughn.
Things that limit freedom.
Sorry to hear that.
There is no freedom if you are enclosed by self-interest, walls of discipline. The relationship of freedom to sensitivity. Great freedom equals great sensitivity. Understand this freedom. The freedom from the conformity of styles. Personal expression must be free. Expression must be free. This liberating truth becomes reality only in proportion to its being experienced and lived in its suchness by the individual himself. The three keys: simplicity, directness, freedom. Freedom knows no past. To express yourself in freedom, you must die to everything of yesterday. beyond right and wrong. There is no such thing as doing right or wrong when there is freedom. Freedom and intelligence. Real freedom is the outcome of intelligence. Freedom.
Dude, I was like, if I don't message him at 5, it's not gonna happen. I get in the car, I'm just riding, I was like, oh shit. Yeah, it's alright, man. I appreciate it.
When you get home, well, tomorrow's the weekend, god damn.
Yep, tomorrow's the weekend, so it don't help me too much. Yep. Alright, everybody, I made it to work, and I am hopping off. I hope you have a great day. If you enjoyed this, again, this is Striking Thoughts. This was an audiobook. It's on Spotify. Striking Thoughts by Bruce Lee. Again, if you enjoyed that, you care to hear another book a different day, I got 1 hour left on this book, so soon, after today I go home, I'll probably be done with this book. So tomorrow I plan to figure out a new book on how I'm gonna figure what I'm gonna read, Alright, before I get too tongue-tied, have a great day. My name is David Hayes, founder of the Meta Musee, and if you did not know, we're a museum, but I'm just a guy trying to do the dang thing. You heard me? Alright, much love, everybody. Have a great day.